Hello and welcome to another RWBY podcast. This one is for Volume 4, Episode 7, Punishment. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. I'm Mediocrity.
It is me, high-powered, returning from his drunken stupor of Christmas, and I hope we all had a safe Christmas and a Happy New Year for probably whenever this video comes out.
This is Dude, what the heck? Merry Christmas, everybody. And, it's Merry Christmas, not Happy Holidays. And, no Renora in this episode, but I'm okay, because this is a great episode.
I just like the episode.
Cool. We're going to have a lot of that this podcast. The episode was good.
It was a very good episode. I was worried, but it did not, but it quelled my fears.
So nobody's asked me this specifically, but I have had other people address this kind of question. But when an episode or movie or something is just good, it's actually really boring to talk about.
Yeah, that's kind of true, but there's some stuff. I think High Powered and I both have some soapboxes to get on about us being right about stuff that we called, so there's that.
Yeah, we can hold that off for just a little bit. We definitely will have a pretty reasonable amount of potential theorizing to go on.
That's the other thing that we'll use. That'll take up the rest of the time, I think. Instead of just complaining, it'll be theorizing, because there's a lot to theorize about now.
Alright, so I think we can get this rolling, so it's 10,000 foot view time.
A crow eye view?
Yes, a bird's eye view, more specifically a crow and or a raven, assuming that raven can turn into a raven. So, the episode opens with our favorite lovable farm boy character who sounds almost just like John, Oscar.
Yeah, but is voiced by a professional voice actor.
And that's the big important difference.
Yep.
So, we have Oscar, and he's sitting in his room, and he's sitting there reading, and then his aunt, if that's correct, right? It's his aunt, right?
I think I think that's what it is.
Yeah, she's credited as Oscar's aunt, so she doesn't even have a name of her own.
Well, so, and then her aunt's like, it's dinner time, damn it! And then it goes on to where Ozpin and Oscar have an internal monologue between the two of them, which was very interesting. I actually enjoyed that whole opening scene also. And for any of you viewers that listened to the last podcast, I predicted that we were going to get Oscar this episode. So, feels good.
Yeah,
right,
Oscar, his catchphrase is, I didn't sign on for this, or I didn't agree to this.
Oscar already having a catchphrase.
Get in the damn robot, Oscar! I mean, find the damn relic, Oscar!
Yeah, I thought it was a good, interesting sequence. But yeah, basically they just argue back and forth about Ozpin trying to convince him that what's happening is real. He is in his head, and their auras and souls are connected, which I found interesting, kind of a connection to what he was trying to do with Pyrrha. And so I guess that is sort of, well, that's more theorizing. So Oscar doesn't really believe him, and but Ozpin sort of convinces him by having Oscar describe the headmaster's room at Haven Academy, which he does very accurately because Ozpin put the thoughts in his head. And Oscar doesn't really like that, but he is aware that he's aware of the fact that Ozpin was able to prove his theory prove that they are connected in that way. And so that's basically how the scene ends, correct?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's definitely more that we can read into it.
Yeah, well, that comes next. Yeah, we'll have our theorizing on that.
But we need to move on to the next part where it opens up with Weiss being scolded by Jock Snee. Wait, that's the dad, right? Jock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Getting these names messed up. Yeah, Jock Snee. And so that conversation happens. Weiss is like, I'm done. I want to go out and do huntswoman things again. And Jock's like, ha! No. And then, so basically, Jock pulls the rug out from under her of taking over the company, and then passes it off to her younger brother,
Whitley.
Whitley. Which Whitley is just standing there smugly outside. Which I don't care. I mean, I can understand why people dislike Whitley, but I like Whitley. I like Whitley because I don't like him.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm with you on that.
This is the first episode where he actually did something to, earn all the hate that he's gotten from the first time we've seen him.
Yeah, he seemed to be extremely neutral whenever we did see him. Which that's kind of what I had a
That was his point. Yeah, that's what he was trying to do, and that's what Weiss even points out. So, yeah, that sort of makes Weiss sad, and she's upset, and I can see, that's stuff that we can theorize about later. So basically, she goes into her room and cries, but quickly realizes, all right, this isn't gonna fix anything. Obvious, she already knew her family was a bunch of piles of shit, so she closes the window, moves her bed. I don't know why she moved the bed for, and she gets her master out.
She's gotta have room for activities.
Yeah, so basically, she's gonna take action, and so that was pretty cool. We'll see what that leads to, and that leads into the Tyrion Crow fight.
Oh yes, the Tyrion Crow fight.
Which takes up the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Also, I will mention, too, that we did get a pretty sizable episode. I mean, there was about 14 minutes of actual episode, and it honestly felt like we got a whole lot more than 14 minutes worth of episode.
I'll give them that. It felt more substantial than it even was, which was very...
Well, that's just because it was a really good episode.
But there you go. That's probably a big part of it. But yeah, so the fight takes up a long time. There's not... At least for most of the fight, there's not a ton to say. I don't know how much we want to get into analyzing the exact fight. I would say I really enjoyed it.
We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, I say it was a good fight scene. It didn't disappoint. But whoever called that Crow was not going to be using his scythe for one-on-one combat was right.
I think I did.
I think you called that. So you were right.
I kind of remember saying that there's no this situation, a sword is preferable to a scythe.
Yeah, and so the fight goes pretty much as we expected, fairly even. We can theorize who had the advantage later. And really it was RWBY who led to the end of the fight in every sense of the word, because she got not overconfident.
I'm helping!
Yeah, the I'm helping thing, which was annoying, but in fairness, it does fit her character. She is naive. She does... you wouldn't necessarily think of her as cocky and narcissistic, but I do actually personally think she is a little cocky and narcissistic, and she really thought she could help, and instead, by being overconfident, she made Crow help her by trying to block that the beam that was going to fall on her, and then he gets hit by Tyrion and poisoned, obviously, because he does have poison, and then she cuts but uses that opportunity to cut Tyrion's stinger off, and then he runs away like a little bitch, hoping that Salem will forgive him.
Also, I think we have to get the swear counter out for this one.
Yeah, dude, calls her a bitch. That was awesome.
I do believe this is the first time we've heard a word uttered in this entire series.
That wasn't damn, and damn doesn't count.
Well, that's the third time that damn's been in it. No, probably even more than that, because I'm pretty sure Crow said it in a few of the World of Remnants, this volume as well, if you want to count those.
Yeah, and we got bitch, though. That's a new one, I think.
I think that's as far as they've gone, though, but that's just a tally to keep.
Yeah, so, and then, obviously, they all all of Ranger runs around and starts bombarding Crow, who's poisoned, with questions like little fucking idiots. But of course, he does the "What's your favorite fairy tale" line, so we know we're getting some sort of flashback.
That was such a troll fucking statement, I swear to God. Whenever Miles and Carrie wrote that line, they had the biggest, smuggest anime shit-eating grin on their face. They're like, "Ooh, oh, that's our present to them," as they took a dump in our gift and wrapped it up all nice.
Does anybody know if the this episode's volume category status, character status update chart is out yet?
I don't think so. Yeah, I haven't seen anything on it.
I haven't seen it yet
I
either.
can look now though.
Yeah, because if it is, I want to see it because it's so good. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically it. And that's our shortest 10,000-foot view we've done. I think, and also we need to make those shorter than we have in the past because we always try to talk over them. But that's the general gist of the episode. So let's go back to our resident farm boy, spelt with an I, Oscar, and to his conversation with Ozpin, which the one complaint I have is I felt like it went on a little long for this scene, but it's still pretty good. Like,
you see, I didn't mind the length of it. I felt there was like a lot of like dead air in the tent. Like there was a lot of dead time. I was honestly waiting for the part where whenever he was describing the office, I honestly was expecting it to like cut, like it would go around his head, but then it would cut to like an artistic representation of what the office looks like. But I
was kind of hoping for that, but they're good. I don't know if they were going to waste their animation doing that. They didn't need to be honest. I'm sure we're going to see that anyway.
Yeah, confirmation that the headmaster of Haven is a guy. I predicted that at least one of them would be a girl, which still could stand, but I assumed that it was going to be Vacuo that has a guy headmaster, and Haven was going to have a girl.
I mean,
I would have guessed the same, but
I mean, headmaster is kind of a gender-neutral term, but I would assume if it was a chick leading the that academy, be like headmistress or whatever.
Yeah, if we go by Harry Potter logic, they would have said headmistress. So, but anyway, I thought it was a well-acted scene. I like Farm Boy's voice actor, and it felt pretty realistic. It'll be interesting to see what happens because, I mean, really at the end of the day, there's not that much to talk about because really it's just Ozpin convincing him that, hey, look, our souls are connected and you don't really have a choice in the matter, so you might as well do something about it. And we know that he's going to do something about it because Ozpin read his thoughts and he doesn't want to be a farm boy forever. And let's be honest, who would? So you know he's going to do something. We know he's destined for greatness in some way. The question is, how does he get out of there? How does he leave his aunt's house? And where do they go next? I'm assuming they're going to go to Mistral next. To Haven, next. But the question is, how does Ozpin convince him, or what events lead him to leave? And one of the things that somebody talked about in the group was whether or not they would use the bandits attacking the family's home trope that Star Wars used and so many other things have used. And I'm guessing that they probably are going to do that because they've already set up the bandit group. I don't want them to do that. I'd rather Ozpin find a cool and clever way to convince him to leave. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I'm guessing they are going to use the bandit clan trope. What do you guys think?
I'm not so sure. I don't know what bigger role the Bandit Clan is gonna play in the bigger plot. And I don't know.
It doesn't have to be that Bandit Clan though.
Yeah, I don't know where Oscar is going. Which I kind of like not knowing, but at the same time, this is the third time we've seen him, and the first time you might as well just cut that part right out and just
that was really pointless. That the more we realized, like, that was a really flawed intro of him. They should have had the part where Oscar or Ozpin says, "Hi, I'm Professor Ozpin" in that first section.
Which it'll probably make a lot more sense to have that scene when you're like binging the entire volume.
I did. Well, I binged the first half, and I'm telling you, it still didn't make sense. It still was awkward. It didn't make sense to have that in the front, like, because I actually thought about it. I thought about it even more. So I watched the first 6 episodes in a row when the 6th one came out, and when I saw that, it was like, what? Why that? I thought even more so. Why didn't they put those 2 scenes together? They really should have. That was stupid.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, also because you can kind of see how Ozpin is trying to recall, like, oh hey, I remember whenever my mind was invaded by another person, and he convinced me to do all this crazy stuff too. Also, maybe I should use some of his tips and tricks to get this kid to do it.
Yeah, basically confirmation that Ozpin is the wizard from the fairy tales. I would say I like it'd be really hard to convince me that he's not at this point, because clearly if he has this like Avatar almost-esque soul bending, like soul joining ability, it's like kind of a more overt version of the Avatar. Then I think he's got to be the wizard.
I think it's like he doesn't have the wizard's power, but he has the wizard's knowledge, and so for all of you who read my fanfiction, shameless plug, I recently did a story called RWBY on Origins where that's exactly how I had it work. Was the wizard like passed on his powers to the maidens, but he passed on his knowledge to Ozpin.
Yep, something like that.
Or what was Ozpin back in the day?
It could have been somebody else first and then Ozpin. But either way, same basic idea.
Like Ozpin as a title. I've been saying Ozpin as a title pretty much since Volume 1.
Interesting. I could see that. Could have been a different name.
Also, too, this brings up something I think media brought it up on one of our conversations, is that it's in my mind, whenever it comes to Salem and Ozpin, so Ozpin is one side of that coin and Salem is the exact opposite side of the coin. That's what I feel like. Their powers are probably very similar to each other's, if that makes sense.
Well, their roles are that the part about their roles is definitely like kind of obvious at this point, where they are definitely like two sides of the same coin. They are like, if this whole thing is set up to be a chess match, then the chess match is between Salem and Ozpin. They are the kings of their respective side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which we'll get into the theorizing part a little bit later too also, but Media, you brought up something very good about why Salem cuts Cinder a lot of slack.
Yeah, she's aware of how important the maidens are.
No, there's another reason.
There's another reason?
Yeah, or there's another reason that we're thinking up or kicking around at least. But what I really like too in that in that moment too also is how Oscar's probably reacting just as well as anyone else would if someone jumped inside your head and told you like, hey, it's like I know this is just a voice, but we really need to go here.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's not being completely crazy, or he's not being stupidly compliant either. So, I mean, I have no problem. Again, basically we're saying that there's no problems. Like, we're wondering where it's going to go. We're wondering how he's going to get out of there, but there's not really that much more to talk about before we get to, like, the theorizing part, because it's pretty straightforward, honestly, what's happening right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we definitely shift gears into
the Shnees.
To the Shnees. I will say though, I enjoyed this moment with the between Jock and Weiss and Whitley.
I thought it was a well done scene for sure.
Yes.
Now, my soapbox time. I called all of this. Literally all three of the major things that happened. I called all of them. Like weeks ago, like from the pretty much the beginning of the season, not necessarily on the podcast because we didn't do the podcast at the beginning, but I said all of this was going to happen, and I'm happy not necessarily because I'm right, but because this is actually what I wanted to happen. This is what I was I called this because I was hoping this was going to happen. So the fact that Jacques actually went as far as to say he was going to imprison Weiss, a lot of people were telling me that probably wouldn't happen. That's what happened, or is what's happening, or he's going to try to.
Well, he grounded her, but I mean, prison,
Yeah, I mean, to the point of imprisoning her until further notice. That's, that's what he's doing, and he's going to enforce the fact that she can't go anywhere, or at least try to. Let's be honest. Also, the fact that he said that the staff will ensure that is a hint that the butler's going to probably help her.
I could definitely see that because he likes her. He probably won't help her overtly, but he'll be like, hey, a lot of people are on vacation right now because they got all those hours saved up, and they got to use them or lose them.
Yeah, exactly. So that, and then the fact that Whitley was going to be the new heir. I think I'm not the only one who saw that coming. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
that's
no.
probably fairly obvious, but still, I knew that was going to happen too. And the fact that Weiss was going to, and I'm glad she's like immediately. She went back to cry, and I can sympathize with her because she sort of abandoned her team or was taken away from her team, whichever way you want to look at it, how much agency she had in that decision. But she lost her team. Her mom doesn't really ever seem to be important still. And Winter's not there, the only sibling she ever liked, and her rest of her family is even shittier to her than she thought they were previously. So she's pretty upset, but I'm glad that I was worried that they were going to end the episode with her crying. I'm very happy, and this is what I was hoping for too, kind of what I said would happen, that they didn't end the episode with her crying, they ended it with her resolving to do something about it. And she said it from at the beginning of the episode, she's like, I want to leave, Dad, I want to be a huntress. And I also liked that she said huntress, not necessarily that she was going to go with Ironwood school to Atlas. I think she's still resolved to go back to Vale, which I like. I prefer that, honestly. I think that's better.
Yeah, I actually kind of like the idea of her returning to Vale. In my head, the first person who's going to run back into RWBY is Weiss.
In my head, actually, she's gonna go. She'd probably go unless something like really throws her for a loop. She'll actually get back to Vale first and maybe run into. She would run into Yang first. That's how I actually even had it.
Because
she's gonna run to Yang first.
As far as Weiss knows, RWBY is safe on patch.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the way I looked at it.
Then again, I said the same thing about Tyrion, and look where we're at now.
Yeah. Well, he could have had other information. Weiss, as far as we know, we really don't know. I don't think Weiss has any other information. It would have to be something that throws things off for her to go to Mistral first before Vale. But I would see her running into Yang first, and then them running into Blake, and then they all go to find Ruby or something like that. That's my guess at this point. But I really like the scene. I'm really liking Weiss right now. Definitely a better character than Blake right now, without a shadow of a doubt. She's redeemed herself big time. Because at the beginning of the season, like, why isn't she tried to do anything about her situation more? And in the past couple episodes, she's really been resolved. She's really finally fed up fully with her situation, which is what they clued in last season. I'm glad they're actually being consistent, and they clued that shit in last season, and now she is actually acting on her distaste for her father and her kingdom, and I think that it would make sense more that why she wants to go back to Vale instead of Atlas. As much as she would respect Ironwood, she's fed up with her kingdom as a whole, not just her family, and that's why she wants to go back with her team as well. So I like that better. She's being a good person, and she's being brave, and she's being strong. I like Weiss.
I feel we'll get that moment with Blake. It's just we haven't had the. There's been a lot of build up to it, which I feel we'll get it. And we'll probably get it in the next couple of episodes.
I hope we do.
It's because it's a safe assumption to assume that we're going to get. Could probably actually get, if they do another 14-minute episode, we could probably
get Blake. We're going to get Blake next episode.
Blake and maybe Yang and a little bit of Ranger sprinkled in.
Yeah, it depends on if they want to give Ranger an entire flashbacky sort of episode, like they did with last season.
Fairy tale bit, haven't they?
Yeah, I can honestly see the Mortal Remnant being a fairy tale, but we're getting into predictions here, so we need to roll back into it. So, what also happened too is Jock basically pulls the rug out from under Weiss and takes away her rights to inherit the company. However, that's supposed to work.
Yeah, I mean, he can just name his heir. I'm pretty sure.
No, he made it sound like he spoke for her, and that is why you have stepped down and kindly given your right as heir to your little brother.
So that brings up the assumption, Was Winter once the heiress to the Schnee Dust
Oh,
Company?
I'm sure.
absolutely.
It's a
she
pretty
was.
safe assumption that
Yeah,
that's
it's
what
a
that
pretty
that's
Yeah,
what
safe
I'm pretty
bet,
sure
let's
she's just
be
got
honest.
like kicked out of being the heir. I mean, for some reason, Papa Schnee doesn't like Winter going into the military. You might say
Yeah.
Might say what?
that's a no.
Might say what?
I was saying the reason, like, some people might say that he doesn't like Winter being in the military because he cares about her, but after last episode, that's not really doesn't work.
I
Saying that he
think it's
actually
more
cares
that
about
she's
his
in a
children.
place where she can't control her,
Yeah,
or
Yeah,
at least
exactly.
keep an eye on her.
Yeah, he needs to control everybody. That's sort of the way he works.
Yeah, like I really wish we would have gotten Winter sometime in these episodes, but at least we do have
An explanation why
at
we
least
don't
an
see her.
explanation of like what her role is within the whole Schnee family, and that she basically, from what Jacques says, granted it's one line, but it seems like Winter basically ran away from home to join the military.
Yeah, and I wasn't aware of that previously.
Yeah, and then when Jacques tried like blackmailing her back in, she was like, "F you, I got my own life."
Yeah, Winter basically washed her hands of her family, which it feels like Weiss is probably going to do the same thing, but her end. I mentioned this in the last podcast where Winter and Weiss have probably walked this road before, but their destinations are going to end up in two completely different places. I mean, sure, Winter is a huntswoman, but she's a huntswoman for the Atlesian military.
Yeah, she's like Weiss light. She's still got that Atlas in her, where Weiss really doesn't want to have any Atlas.
Yeah.
She's trying, and she's moving more and more towards not having much any
like-
Atlas in her.
Yeah,
At least
and
less so than
I've
Winter.
I've been saying this since she first popped up last volume, but Winter is Weiss if Weiss didn't have Team RWBY.
Yeah, yes.
Exactly.
There you go.
yeah, that works.
But I wouldn't say this is 100% true, actually. One small counterpoint. The fact that Weiss chose to go to Vale rather than Atlas Academy. That is something she chose before she had her team.
Well, and
So that's why I'm saying
that
she's
would
a
be
little bit more.
Yeah, that would just be the inciting incident of her character arc. But the point is, like, yeah, she went to Beacon to become a huntress because she maybe didn't want to join the military because maybe she saw how Jacques, like, treated Winter or how he, like, blacklisted her, and she wanted to do something different, so she went to the Huntsman Academy, like a true Huntsman Academy, where when she does graduate, she would have a lot more autonomy than Winter has as a dog of the military, and that obviously didn't really work out for her either. But it was something different. But it was because when Winter went to the Atlas military or Atlas Academy, she was surrounded by other people who probably joined the military as well. Whereas Weiss was surrounded by people like RWBY and Yang and Blake, people who want to do good for the sake of doing good.
Yeah, it's a different environment. So,
And that's what we call an inciting incident. Something very minimal that actually gets the ball rolling for an entire character arc.
which brings the question too, and this is something I'll just touch on for a second. Is so part of me wants to think the big like ending for Weiss's arc, this volume, won't be like her escaping, which it's reasonable to say that she might go somewhere this volume and leave.
Oh, I think she's going to leave before the end of the volume, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so too. Like I say the odds are like 80%.
Yeah.
But a part of me wants to think that, like, I guess, like, she might just, by happenstance or something, like, discover some, like, terrible secret about, like, Jock or something. Or, like, maybe Jock is somewhat, like, loosely related to
Oh, I hope not. I hope they don't go that crazy. I hope it's just. I think they're doing a good job. So I think they're doing a good job with her, honestly, right now. I think she's actually being written very well, personally. I really enjoy what she's doing. So don't want anything to derail from her character, her story and her arc right now.
All right.
Yeah, and something I want to point out is that now in hindsight, Weiss's character arc and character motivation actually makes sense. And I hinted at this in my review of the last episode, because by the time I was editing that, we had this World of Remnant. And now we get even more of that here. And that's Weiss's character arc, just from volumes 1 through 3 in a bubble, make almost no sense, because like she hates her dad, but she wants to restore her family name. She has pride in her family name, but at the same time she recognizes that her dad is not a good man, and it's just like, okay, where's the line? Where are you coming from with this? She doesn't even see him as a Schnee. That is like how on her high horse she is, and God, I can only imagine how much higher on that high horse Winter is.
Yeah.
Freaking parading the Schnee name like it's a freaking get out of
jail free card.
Yeah. And it makes it make a lot more sense. I'm glad that they went this route with it. To where
finally a World of Remnant being good.
Yeah, and not only that,
Who would have
but a big problem with the Volume 2, or not the Volume 2, the Volume 3 World of Remnants, which was the second batch we got, that's why I said Volume 2, but was that they gave us some good information, but then they did it a lot, they gave that same information a lot better in the actual series. And this one, like, not so much, because without that World of Remnant, just knowing this fandom and how it thinks, they would have gravitated towards like, ooh, he married into the Schnee name, instead of what they should be focusing on which was the fact that Jacques Schnee slapped Weiss in that scene when she said that. That's what's important. That's the takeaway, not the marriage part. That's why they put, like, this World of Remnant actually served a purpose with that, like, to take the focus away from that part of the scene and put it where it needs to be, which was the emotion aspect of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that right there.
I get what you're saying. I don't actually completely agree, because I still think they could have given that information without making the World of Remnant, but I will at least admit that this World of Remnant did matter. If they were really great storytellers, they would not need the World of Remnant. They're still a crutch, but at least this time they were a crutch that actually helped. It was nice to have a crutch that actually at least did its fucking job for once.
It would have been preferred, like,
it's nice because I like Weiss, and now it does redeem her character, so that's good, and that's
the best case scenario would have been back in Volume getting that initial revelation back in Volume 3 when Winter was talking with Weiss about the family.
Exactly.
That would have been the best case scenario.
All she had to say was, "Why do you think Dad can't do this?" Done. All you need. Would have been so easy.
And the salt that Elizabeth Maxwell would have poured into that line.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's so easy. That's the problem I have with the writing in this show. The more and more I watch it, it's like, you guys, it's so easy. You didn't need to make a stupid little video about it. You could have just put that. You could have made one line about it instead of a stupid 3-minute video about it.
It's all about.
I feel like it could have been done pretty well with, like, it was brought up that Jacques married into the family during, like, the song that Weiss was singing. She was singing all about rebelling. She could have said something like,
"Yeah, she could have," because the songs are canon. So yeah,
that moment when the songs are more canon than a lot of the dialogue.
I mean, honestly, I prefer them to use the songs as a version of the World of Remnant over the World of Remnants. I'm fine with the songs being the canon, some canon revelation, because at least they're part of the episodes and everything. Especially like Red Like Roses Part 2. Yes, exactly.
That song is freaking dark.
All right.
Yeah. Or even Boop, which isn't even in the episodes, but it's still canon and still explains a lot.
It's time to stop.
Yeah.
We need to get back on track here just a little bit, because now it's time for the meatiest part of this episode.
Never.
Don't make me ban you.
Is it really the meatiest part, though?
No, I think the Weiss.
It
really isn't. It's the Weiss part. Let's be honest. I think the Weiss part's the meatiest. Or you could argue that the Oscar part's the meatiest. I personally would pick Weiss, but I could honestly. I'd pick Weiss, and then honestly, I'd put second
fight is
meatiest.
The bit where people lose the most meat, so you could say that.
That's
true. Shots fired.
That was good.
That was pretty good.
And then Black Bacterian's bullshit tail.
I'd actually say it's the least meaty part of the episode, but it's still good. It's still entertaining.
All right, so now the Tyrion versus Crow fight. That was I will say that was the best fight that we've had this volume. Probably because it was actually, I think that was the longest fight that we've had so far this volume.
Yeah, I haven't done any time counters on any of the fights though.
I know that.
You know what? You cut out there.
CJ's having internet difficulties again.
The Blake fight versus the giant grim sea monster was pretty long, so
yeah, that's what I haven't done time counters on any of the fights yet. I'll probably do that. I'll have that.
That fight wasn't very good though.
Yeah, I'll do some time counters when we get into the volume finale, when we're getting ready to do the podcast for the volume finale. I'll do some time counters for all the fights and see how they rank up with the other fights from other volumes. But yeah, that's on a to-do list for a few weeks from now. But yeah, one thing that I do is for a style over substance show like RWBY, the quality of an episode is oftentimes in proportion to how many quality screen grabs you can get. And this one had some freaking top quality screen grabs.
Oh yeah, no, I will be honest, the smug face that Tyrion has whenever he's sitting there blocking those shots of his tail, he's like, whatever. I don't even need to think about this, I just fucking do it.
It reminds me of a cat face that he's just like, "Aw, you think you can hurt me?"
Yeah, Crow pulling that freaking slamming a sword down and then landing on it.
And landing on it, that was pretty cool. Yeah, no, they definitely did some cool shit in this fight.
Uses his frickin' scythe form to frickin' go stick himself up to the up on top of the building.
That was really creative. I like that.
That was pretty sick.
Yeah, no, they did a lot of cool things. I liked the fight. I don't know if I actually preferred the previous one just because of the impacts and the gravity of the fact that how much they got their ass kicked in the last fight. But I did like this fight a lot. I still think we are not seeing Crow at his full potential yet because he's still got I think a couple people on this podcast called the fact that Crow's kind of at a disadvantage here because he's protecting people, and then RWBY made that very true. But, I think he's not going all out yet, and I'm hopefully he doesn't die so we can actually see him go all out. But he's fucked up at the end of this because he is poison. Let's get that straight. And every time that the big, strong hero says, "I'm fine," he's lying. Every time. That trope is used for a reason. He's not fine. So that is... Obviously, we can talk about that later, but I don't know what much more there is to say about the fight itself. Those really cool shots. They definitely did some cool shit.
I think you're forgetting something very important. The whole "I'm helping" part.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's where I was going next.
Red and Nora helped first, so
yeah.
That's true. They did, but then
Red and Nora got jumped in, got kicked to the curb,
handled.
And then Crow's like, just sit down. You guys are useless.
Notice how John was the only one who didn't bother.
Well, he can't really do anything, can he? He doesn't want to die.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll give John credit. I think he's the only one smart enough to not do anything.
But then Crow's just like, "No, stay back." Then RWBY's like, "Fine, okay." Starts fucking sniping, which does lead up to the greatest part where Crow just straight up punches Tyrion.
I have a problem with that. That is one of the biggest problems I have. That's the biggest problem I have with the episode. Why do they use that trope? Why does that trope still exist? Every time a fighter loses their weapon, they kick the person's ass more without their weapon. bullshit. There's
Well,
no way that's how it happened.
It wasn't really like that, but Tyrion
Yes, it was.
sort of. No, he hit Tyrion a couple of times, but Tyrion. It's not like he got hurt massively, but there was a lot of knockback.
No.
Yeah,
That's not the
bruised
problem.
ego.
The problem is Tyrion takes away Crow's weapon. He should shoot him in the face.
Aura.
It's so easy to beat a guy without. Okay, but
Might
still,
as well not even
he could
reveal the
definitely
guns.
beat down. He could definitely beat down his aura though if he shoots him. Like,
Yeah,
come on,
this
really?
was-
You lose your weapon and you beat the guy more without your weapon. He did more damage to Tyrion without his weapon than he ever did with the weapon. That does not make sense.
I don't know. We
People
didn't
do
see
that
what
all
happened
the time.
inside of the collapsed building.
They do that in Star Wars too, okay? That's not just a RWBY problem. They're using that trope because everybody uses that stupid ass trope.
Well, I just watched the bit. Tyrion did get distracted by RWBY sniping, and then when
But that distraction should not have taken him that long.
called to
Like,
stop him until he was finished. Right? Did I disconnect during that?
No.
Yeah, a little bit, but not really.
Did I get my point across?
Yeah, the sniping shot.
Alright, so yeah.
But he got
so
distracted for way too long. They were really
Well,
trying to set that
He
up.
got after he got hit once by Crow. There's not really much he could do until Crow.
Well, yes, the first time he got hit, but he shouldn't have got punched in the first place by a guy who lost his fucking sword.
I
That's
will
what-
say though, there's a part that I'm just gonna roll it back just a hair. So there's a part that I like is Ruby jumps on top to get a vantage point over the fight, and then you see as she's trying to like keep track of what's going on, and she's having a hard time doing it. So you kind of get an idea of like, well, you can tell that they're moving fast because they have speed lines.
Yeah.
But then you also see the frustration in Ruby with Ruby because like she can't keep up. Also, too, it'd probably be really hard to look through her scope because it's got a big, huge crack in it. But then again, that's just me knowing guns, and if you've got a crack in your scope, it's basically useless. But yeah, I'll get off that.
I mean, even I know that.
Yeah. I like that Ruby was at least trying to help out, like... Okay, so when Ren and Nora jumped in, they jumped in, like, in close range and just got in the way. Whereas Ruby was trying to be more, like, support with the sniper rifle, be like...
Well, that was only because Crow said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
get
only
out."
after Crow told her to get away.
Crow, I don't think...
Yeah, Crow was
did
like,
not-
stay
Crow,
back.
Yeah, Crow did
Crow
say
said,
just
stay back.
He
And
didn't
then
say
Ruby
don't
was
help.
like, fine.
Okay, I'll stay back on top of this building and just take pot shots at him.
Yeah,
Basically.
but Ren can't really do that because his weapon's got a lot more spread. And
his weapon kinda
Nora,
sucks.
that's
Nora's
AoE,
got too much
so-
splash damage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nora
why
couldn't
didn't
really
she
do
use the
that.
grenades?
I don't know how much.
Flash
Flash
damage.
damage. She doesn't want to hit Crow. Jesus.
I don't know how true that. I mean, here's the thing: they didn't handle the people off to the side well in the last episode, so I'm not sure if I'd expect them to be doing that well here too. I'm not going to complain about it too much though, because at least the actual fight was good, I guess.
I think the only part during this whole Tyrion fighting Ranger and Crow part that you could say Nora didn't use her weapon properly was when her hammer was on Tyrion's scorpion tail. Like, that's when you instantly just shoot a grenade.
Yes.
Can it shoot grenades whenever it's in hammer form like that?
Yeah,
I think it
we've
can.
seen-
Yes.
That
Yes.
was
you
volume
can.
1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
she
like-
did,
Well, no,
exactly.
it's got like a little
Yeah.
kickback blast thing that it can do, but it's not an actual grenade. It's more like when
But still,
Ruby.
you can whack
It's more.
that
It's
scorpion tail with
It's
it.
more like when Ruby uses the gun part of her scythe to, like, increase the momentum and the strength of a slice, which is exactly what she did at the end of this fight.
Also,
Yeah.
I know how she has the sniper form, but she, like, never uses it. She uses scythe form instead, too.
She's actually been using the gun form a lot more this volume.
Does it not have any
Yeah.
benefit? Does
What, the
sniper
gun
part
form?
have no benefit? Yeah, like in Ruby's scythe, she always uses the scythe form to snipe pretty much. She uses sniper form a lot less. Does it like not do anything?
Hmm.
No, I think it's more just because it's actually the same caliber, it's the same like firepower, both ways. Because I mean that she did that in the Players and Pieces fight too, where when she needed like the
Yeah.
quick from scythe to gun, she just kept it in scythe form, because it is the same bullets, it is the same like firepower either way.
I know, but still, I feel like there should be some upgrade to sniping in her sniping form, so that it actually makes sense for her to swap to it sometimes instead of just being more accurate in sight.
I think it's more of a quick release thing. Like it can go from its carrying form to its gun form really quickly, whereas it takes a couple seconds for it to change into a scythe. That's what they did in the Red trailer. Like the Red trailer, she just whipped it out and started shooting, and then when she got some distance, that's when she transformed it into a scythe, and then she kept it in scythe form for the rest of the Red trailer.
Yeah, and also she uses the firearm function of the scythe to adjust momentum, and to pogo stick around, and to cut things, particularly scorpion tails. But yeah, and so the fight was good. I really liked how I like seeing how Tyrion fight, because it's whenever Tyrion was fighting Crow, like he was serious, but he seemed to be having fun at the same time too. Also, like it doesn't seem like it's very often that he fights someone that can keep up with him. That like he's actually
let's be real,
having
like
to fight someone.
Fighting seriously, Crow would have gotten wrecked, but Tyrion just doesn't do that.
I feel like they're pretty 50-50, but the only thing that really confused me in this fight was whenever he first does the gun things and just starts shooting, and I'm sitting there, it's like, what are you shooting at? Why are you shooting?
Well,
I actually got the impression that Crow would have been... I actually would have guessed that Crow would have had the advantage if it wasn't for the fact that he was protecting people. I would actually give Crow the advantage. Like
I definitely say Tyrion has the advantage because he's got 3 weapons. Like you've got to think of that, and even just one of his weapons, tail or the arm bits, can just block off Crow's sword, and then he's got 2 more weapons to whack with.
It doesn't necessarily mean that's not necessarily how advantage works. I mean, if you go to Star Wars, just because people have 2 lightsabers doesn't mean they are the advantage. Most of the strongest lightsaber users...
In fact, it has a disadvantage.
That's that's not good logic.
Yeah, that's one more blade you might accidentally cut off a limb with.
Yeah, that's not how it works. So I'm just saying, based on what I could see from the fight and Crow's confidence, I would guess that if it weren't for the... I'm saying this is a guess. I'm literally saying I'm guessing. But I'm guessing that Crow has a 55-45 advantage, something like that, against Tyrion if it weren't for the fact that he was defending people. Because
I didn't think that, and to me it was clear that like the only reason why he told them to stand back is because they were just getting in the way. Because he's got a big weapon, Tyrion doesn't. And so that there's like some, it's not splash damage because it's a sword, but there could be some friendly fire there. Crow doesn't want to have to worry about not hitting his own teammates.
Yeah, he does shoot a shotgun, which probably might have a little bit of splash damage.
But as far as like actual advantages go, Tyrion was at a serious disadvantage because, and I think I brought this up in the last podcast, or at least my review, but like Rhaena and Nora and RWBY, to a lesser extent, and probably Jean if he didn't suck, still have quite a bit of aura and can still like hold up a fight. So like even if Crow did get in trouble in 1-on-1 and had to like recover, then Rhaena and Nora could jump in and still hold off Tyrion for a while.
Also, another thing to keep in mind too also is Tyrion had to capture RWBY. If whenever you had to, if you ever have to capture anyone or anything, it's always going to be a more difficult situation to do so.
Yeah, that goes all the way back to the 12 labors of Hercules.
Yeah,
well, it's hard to tell.
If Tyrion had if Cinder said, why is he Cinder again? Fuck, I'm at it again. Shit. Okay,
Salem.
If Salem said, Tyrion, go kill this girl, he could have been... His fighting... He wouldn't have to adjust his fighting style to where he doesn't accidentally kill her. He just is like, okay, I'm just going to kill her now.
Well, we've got to assume that Tyrion has most of his training in capturing, because we can assume that he was also sent to find the Full Maiden, and he was sent to find the Spring Maiden. So
it's a safe assumption that if he was going to find the maidens, though, that the plan was to kill them. It's a safe assumption, but it's not unreasonable to say that maybe Salem might want to try to bring one of the other seasonal maidens into the fold. But that's another topic for another day.
Or Tyrion just captures one of them, brings them back, so it's a lot easier for the others. So I feel like Tyrion does work with capturing, and his weapons, they're not even too bad at accidentally injuring someone, because they're quite close range, and the gun part isn't...
They're fist weapons.
Spray.
But yeah. And CJ's internet is dying again.
Oh, rip.
But yeah, I mean, that's really, there ain't a whole bunch more really to talk about.
It's not the Toad who would have the advantage. I mean, it is true that Crow only lost because of RWBY. That's you can say that, at least at this point.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say either of them lost, though, but they were both pretty battered and beat up.
Both because of RWBY.
Yeah, because of RWBY. One thing I want to bring up, which I feel a lot of people have looked over, and I don't know if this is just me looking into it too much, is whatever the purple goop spurted out of Tyrion's tail, whatever hit the ground, it had a
purple eyes.
It had a hiss to it, a sizzle, a fizzle and pop. So I don't know if it's just is it acidic, or is it just, or they just give it that sound effect just to give it that sound effect? I don't know. I feel they just gave it that sound effects because this will be cool. Probably doesn't mean anything. So it's a safe assumption to assume that Crow has been poisoned. I don't think the poison will kill Crow, but it'll definitely put him out of commission. Because you gotta remember, it's okay. Let's make the assumption here that Tyrion only has one type of poison, and so he was going to poison RWBY with the same poison that he poisoned Crow with.
That's true.
So,
but he could have multiple types, but his eyes turn purple whenever he's loaded.
Yeah, he could.
But I would guess not.
But yeah, I would assume
he's loaded up on poison.
Well, never mind. But yeah, so I mean, the only thing I could say would be different would be he could vary the dosage.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I'm guessing Crow's not gonna be dead. I'm guessing though that he will be baggage for them actually at this point though, for a while.
Yeah. Okay, so
that's
I think
this is the perfect point for Raven to come in and say, "We'll take Crow back," and then we get to see the inside of the Bandit clan.
Actually, what I really but
I don't think that's what would happen.
That seems reasonable. But what I like to see more though is Ren bust out the "don't do anything to the cook" shirt and then make some crazy herbal remedy or something to make Crow better.
Oh god! If they do that, if they just make Ren go, "I will make a food for you," and then Crow's all better, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, I would too. To be honest.
Okay, so now we're in the.
I don't know. So one thing I want to get into before we do the theorizing bit is the aura flashing. We kind of talked about this last podcast because that's when it kind of came in, was last episode. But this episode as well, it really seems like they're changing the visual indicators of when people take damage, which I like what they changed it to, but I don't like the fact that they changed it.
Yep, that's basically my thoughts too.
I feel like if they keep this up for the rest of the whole of the show,
we'll get over it. Basically, is what would happen.
Yeah, just stick to their guns. If they're gonna change it, just stick to the guns.
If this is the style of aura that's gonna stay for the rest of the time, I like it because they could do if a big hit impacts, then it shows aura, and it can work pretty well. So I just want them to fine-tune it.
Yeah, the problem isn't what they changed it to. The problem is that they changed it, basically. But it's not the end of the world.
Which is actually a lot of there's a lot of stuff in the show that you could say that about.
Exactly. That's kind of how this show scrapes by in popularity. I honestly think. I think that especially now that Volume 3 and 4 have been so far especially second half of Volume 3 and the current Volume 4 are overall very good. And people love the show anyways, and there's certain things people really love about it. People are willing to forgive all the flaws that it has a bit more, and that's why the show's still growing in popularity. Which is fine. I mean, that's true for a lot of anime shows, to be honest, and a lot of cartoons and TV shows in general, so it's really not the end of the world. But you understand that there are flaws, but something like that is something small enough to forgive, where certain other things are not big enough to forgive. And one other thing I wanted to point out is, though, just little tiny thing, more proof that I think RWBY is the killer type of, she is the type of person to kill people. So they're just trying to get rid of Tyrion.
She went Adam Taurus on Tyrion's tail.
Yeah, she went Adam Taurus on Tyrion's tail, which I like.
Yo, if you're gonna bring up Tyrion's tail, can I just mention something? Now we have 2 members of the evil syndicate that are crippled.
Well, I wouldn't say crippled. I mean, he could still fight.
He just all he can do
punished.
is there's another way he can get like a metal part of his tail to inject poison or something like that.
I don't feel like Tyrion's going to get punished, because Cinder didn't get punished for getting beaten by RWBY. Tyrion was beaten by a team plus a veteran huntsman. So I feel like Salem's going to be like, all right, I'll forgive you. You can just be a stealth guy.
Also, I feel that Cinder. God damn it! I feel that Salem will forgive Tyrion for his failure, but there will be a cost to it that he does not yet realize.
Yeah.
I don't feel like Salem
kind of like how Cinder is no longer able to go out in the field and do her own thing. She has to stay.
Well, that's just because she needs to repair. That's why. But Tyrion, all he needs is a new bit of tail, or just be told, "Don't use your tail," and then he's good to go. So I don't feel like Salem's just gonna. I almost did it. Oh shit! I don't feel.
I mean, he can still use his tail to hit people and block stuff. So he can still use his tail in some
strangle them like Frieza.
Yeah, that's the thing. He can still use it. He just doesn't have the poison anymore, really.
I mean,
she's
Frieza,
not going to take back on her forces just because Tyrion got hurt.
I mean, like, Krillin cut off the end of Frieza's tail when he was in the second form, and I mean, that Frieza wasn't even getting started.
Sure, Dragon Ball Z references. I totally know what you're talking about.
Come on, man. At least watch Abridged.
It's kind of funny, but I still prefer old little Karibo as far as abridging goes. He's not as funny anymore, but he used to be funnier.
Anyway,
and I like the old Pokemon the Abridged series from the Dangerous Box guys.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to get into theorizing. So, first thing I want to theorize is Crow like tells them the story, like something involving the Silver-Eyed Warriors is going to be my official guess. And then when he gets at the end,
will that Remnant?
No, my theory.
We won't get another World of Remnant until either before or after episode 9, and and then probably Jean is going to be like, oh yeah, that's all fine and good, but who the hell are you?
Yeah,
they have no idea who Crow is. He's just some dude that just came in and saved them.
I feel like RWBY, it's possible she's talked. Unlikely, because Pyrrha didn't know, but...
Well, Pyrrha just didn't know him by face. Like, she might have, like, put the connection together, like, oh, that would have been nice to add when he was like, the name's Crow. He's like, oh, you're RWBY's uncle. But, I don't know.
That scythe's familiar. I mean, that weapon's familiar.
Yeah, it's totally a scythe, even though nobody sees it as scythe form.
Let's be real. As soon as he came in, they've got Mercury's semblance of telling that it's a scythe when it's in sword form.
Twice.
But no, as soon as he came in, they know that he's a good
guy.
Boy.
But yeah, so this is okay. So that's definitely what I'm looking forward to. Is that's what I like about the end. Is like Red and John are like, what's going on? Which this is what I want for the next episode. Is like they assuming that we get Crow explaining to them stuff.
Whatever the next episode is that has Ranger and Crow in it, basically.
Yeah, I want.
Which I hope is next episode. I hope Yang pops up next episode as well.
Yeah, I hope they shove Blake to the side for a little bit longer, to be honest.
no, it's like Yang is the last. We haven't seen Yang since episode 4.
That's true.
We got all of episode 5 with Blake, so we can hold off on Blake until episode 9. Like, I'd be completely fine with episode 9 being all about Blake and Ranger. Blake
that would make
Yang,
sense.
Or Blake and Weiss.
That would fit. Yeah.
But yeah, so.
But for episode 8, we need to get Yang because it's been too long.
I want there to be a moment of apprehension from someone in Team Ranger, like whenever they get the full scope of exactly what they're dealing with. We're not going to get it from John, because John will probably put the pieces of the puzzle together in his head that this group this person that just attacked them is related to the person in charge of the reason why his girlfriend is dead. So yeah.
Well, that connection's already there because
oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain John's already starting to piece this together.
Yeah, well, yeah, like he knows that Tyrion's got something to do with Cinder because Ruby was like Cinder, and Tyrion was like, "Hello, nah."
Like only in her wildest dreams.
Yeah. Yo, what should have happened is he says that, and we get a flashback to Cinder dreaming about, being
world domination.
Yeah.
Like she just goes full Chibi Cinder.
Chibi. Yes.
Yeah, she just goes full Chibi version of Cinder.
Goddamn.
Oh, that was the best. Oh my goodness, I love that bit in Chibi when Cinder's just like, rah ha ha ha.
Yeah, the Chibi stuff was actually kind of funny. I can't wait to see Chibi Salem.
Oh my god,
I
can't
can't
so
wait
weird.
to see Chibi Tyrion. Like
Chibi Tyrion, Chibi Salem.
I think we already got Chibi Tyrion in this episode. I mean,
I want
screen grabs.
Yeah.
I want Chibi Salem with Chibi Chibi creepy squid jellyfish Grim, and I want her to do the Finding Nemo line. I want her to call it Squishy.
Oh yeah.
That would be.
Wait, what?
Oh my god.
I don't think that's the angle Chibi would go for. Just saying.
I don't know.
They
did have That's a Katana in the very first episode. And,
that was pretty funny.
Now that's a katana.
Filth!
That was pretty funny. Anyway.
And then Ruby takes the book to go furiously masturbate.
Yes, exactly.
No. What I want
and what people don't know is there's actually a fourth form of Crescent Rose. There's actually a fourth form of Crescent Rose, and it's dildo form.
Oh no!
Oh come on!
No, I want Blake's dad to have a massive katana, and then if Ruby ever meets him, she says in show canon, "Now that's a katana."
I want
pretty
that. Funny. I'm guessing he wouldn't.
Well, I mean,
I'm guessing he has something
Callie's already
but...
coming on to Sun, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, back to actual things to talk about.
Yeah, what?
I don't know. I feel like we should do just a Chibi podcast and just talk about that.
We actually could. I would be down to do a Chibi podcast with us.
Yeah, sometime.
Maybe the next time we do this a little remnant break, we can do a Chibi podcast.
Or maybe during the off season, because we're gonna have
that's a good idea. Yeah, we can do it for the off season for us because us four are gonna have to come up with things to podcast about when the off season hits. That'll be difficult. We'll have to have a couple though. Anyway, my theory for what would happen, I'm not sure if we're going to get. I hope next episode we get more. You get more of the Crow and Ranger stuff. I hope we get maybe flashback information or something like that. Because I'm not sure where he's going to start. I don't know if he's going to go because he said fairy tale. So my guess is he might go into detail more about Ozpin and the Maidens and the Soul Ride Warriors, and then maybe he could talk about who he is. But I think that's more the angle he's going to go for. I
don't feel like Crow's going to talk about the Maidens and stuff.
Yeah, I'm with CJ on that. I don't like. This is obviously
we get a whole episode talking. If you get a whole episode talking, and then he goes back to saying Pyrrha was going to be a maiden, and then Sean's like, "The fuck." And then Crow's like, no, just listen. Pyrrha was going to be a maiden, and then he could talk about the maidens and what they are. I don't think he's going to talk about silver-eyed stuff, because he talked to Ruby about that. Yeah, then he'll talk about Salem
I think he will, to be honest, because I think he's got to give context for who Salem is.
Yeah, I feel that's what we're gonna get.
And that's why I feel like he's going to mention the maidens, and he's going to talk about Ozpin and the Wizard and stuff like that, because of the fact that that's where Ozpin and Salem probably come in. He already mentioned Salem's name, so the precedent is set for that. I'm not saying he has to get into a ton of detail about the maidens specifically, but he's going to mention them, I feel like.
Here's the thing, like, it's becoming more and more clear, despite my initial predictions, that the Silver-Eyed Warriors are something completely separate from the maidens.
Yes.
Well, not completely separate, because we do know that the maidens are weak to the Silver-Eyed Warriors, so there's some connection.
There's that, but there's two things, though. The maidens are a late addition to the series. They were conceived after Volume 2.
I know, but
whereas the Silver-Eyed Warriors have been a long game like that. The Silver-Eyed Warriors have been more of a plan from the very beginning, and that might be why they had the maidens be weak to it. That way, it kind of levels the playing field for Cinder and Ruby's eventual long-standing rivalry that's going to happen.
Yeah,
that's what the show's been building towards since freaking episode 1. Is Cinder and Ruby being eternal rivals, being like Yugi and Kaiba, or Goku and Vegeta, or Naruto Sasuke.
I don't feel like there will be a massive showdown between Cinder and Ruby, because Cinder's just not strong enough. Like, unless she
not right now, but
throughout the series goes like through a massive training thing, like say Yang is at the moment. I just don't feel like Cinder's the one to be her, like, Ruby's end villain, or like.
I think she's like Ruby Alone's main villain, like
massive rival.
When this whole Salem thing is coming to a close, it's going to be Ruby versus Cinder 1-on-1, and then Team Ruby versus whatever as a team, then everyone versus Salem. And I'm not just saying that because that's how I had my fanfiction structured.
Well, it's the same thing that happens when I write fanfiction, is you write what you want to happen or what you think will happen.
Yeah.
I'd actually love to see, like, Team Ruby,
And his internet died again?
In that part. I'd like to see them. Oh, God damn it. Alright. Am I good? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably.
Right. I'd love to see, like, Ruby, Juniper, and, like, characters that are still alive, Crow, the teachers, and any other, like, strong good guys that we get introduced to. Not Team Coffee or Team Cardinal, because they're out. Like, I don't care about them
I had Team Coffee in the fight.
Okay, but Team Coffee in the fight, it's like, unless they do more.
I also killed half of them off, so.
I feel like
ravioli.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
spoiler for my fanfiction. I kill off half of Team Coffee.
Nice. I'd love to see all of them and, like, more characters that we get introduced to later in the show go up against Salem. Salem just, like, flick her wrist and they all get whacked, like, back to Vale or something. Like, I want Oscar Salem to be that strong.
Mode, and then they actually have the real battle begins with Oscar.
Yeah.
I mean, my guess is you're going to have a bunch of people trying to fight Salem or Salem's forces, and then by the end of it, though, it's got to just be a one-on-one fight.
I want it to be like the end of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and Watts can be Fury King Bradley in the scenario.
I mean, we're getting pretty far ahead at this point.
Yeah, we need to roll this back.
I think we need to roll this back a lot.
Okay. I'm just gonna say one more thing. Is that alright? Can I?
Because we really can't. You cut out again, dude.
Alright, I'd love.
This is the last thing you get, and we're rolling it back.
To fight against Salem, they get knocked. God damn it! All right, I'm good. I'd like them to have one massive fight against Salem. They get knocked back, and they have a fight with Oscar, and he gives them all like an upgrade or something, and they get knocked back less, but they're still at a disadvantage. And then I'd want them to fight like that, with like Oscar giving them sort of like a buff or something.
All right, you're done.
No, don't take me.
All right, so as far as Weiss goes, I don't know how, like, picking up where she left off in her training is going to help her in this scenario.
I don't know if it's that much training. I don't know if it's that much training or if she's just gonna fucking leave.
I think she's gonna try to practice her summoning ability This is what I want to happen. I want her to summon the Elysian Knight, and then she sees some of the little planes fly by the window, and she just points at one of them, and then the Elysian Knight ghost thing just grabs her and just freaking fastball specials her right into one of the planes and just catches her right out of there.
Yeah,
that would be so cool.
Because here's the thing now. Here's the thing that we know now that is changed. The fact that Jacques is not a Schnee. There's not going to be a fight showdown, I don't think. Because my guess is Weiss could probably kick his ass. So I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's actually... I think honestly she's just going to have to break out of there. Because, yeah, he says the staff's going to keep her there. But let's be honest. What's really going to be able to keep her there? Probably nothing, especially when she has the butler on her side, and she can probably beat everybody who's there.
It's safe to assume, though, that Jacques Schnee could probably afford to keep a professional huntsman or two.
Well, I mean,
on tap.
he might
who knows?
be able to.
He might, but my guess is
it's not like he's the richest
point...
freaking person in Remnant.
Yeah, but my guess though is that she is. I don't think the conflict is her getting out of there. I think she's just gonna. My guess now at this point, she's gonna get out of there. Probably with not too much trouble. Like here's my point. And we're not going to see her thrown in jail. We're not going to see her beaten. We're going to see her. Maybe she has to fight pretty hard, but she's going to get out of there. The next time we see her,
it's going to be like Toy Story 3, where she just does the really freaking big, convoluted escape from Alcatraz plan involving like her, Klein, Winter, the mother, and just like.
Probably not that, but I mean something to the point where she gets out, and it's more of where she goes next that's going to be interesting. And my guess is she would go back to Vale. My guess is she would go back to Vale, and she'd probably be the one to run into Yang. That might be actually one of the last things we see in the season. Actually, is we see her running into Yang or something along those lines. We finally see some people from Team RWBY running into each other again.
I feel like
that's
Ironwood goes straight Nick Fury and just gets everyone together.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a lot easier than that, because Weiss is thinking Ironwood will help, and she goes to Ironwood and he takes her out, and he takes her away.
No, because Ironwood wants her to go with him, so that's not going to happen either. She's going to leave on her own.
Weiss wants to be her own woman.
Because she doesn't want to take up Ironwood. It would not make sense for her to take up Ironwood's offer at this point.
But also, they've set him up this volume to be Weiss's new mentor. So
not necessarily. No, they just set him up as being a good guy.
I know, but he could at the same time. It works if she takes his help, because she said she trusts him, she likes it, she doesn't want to be on her own.
Yeah, not to mention that, as far as we know,
it works.
Winter is, like, really, really close to Ironwood. As far as, like...
That's true.
She's his go-to person for high-risk missions and stuff like that.
No, it's possible. I'm just saying, I know, especially this past episode, she doesn't want to go... She doesn't want to be an Atlas anymore. She wants to get the fuck out of there. And I don't know how much Ironwood would be down to help her with that specifically. He could be. He very well could be. And I would be fine with that. If that's the case.
Woman who nearly...
I wonder how much Ironwood knows about, like, the Silver-Eyed Warriors.
Yeah,
probably does know about them. It's a reasonable...
He was part of
it's a reasonable assumption to know.
If he knew about Maidens, he's going to know about Silver Eyes.
Yeah, I would guess he knows about them too.
So here's what I think. For Weiss right now, it's not really a matter of like her getting out there. I think she's probably going to do her whole training montage, as in she needs to prove to herself that she is strong enough to leave, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
That's where I feel that it's going to be going down with that, which... If she just does a summon and then she just throws herself out the window, that would make my day. It would be so simple and fun. It'd be good.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Oh, and then after this, because of the way summonings work, she's able to summon like a version of her father. That would be weird, but nice.
Well, it's a stand.
But he would
like,
actually.
I emotionally and mentally beat him. So
and then she summons him, and it's really disappointing because all he does is wag his finger and yell at the enemies, and he doesn't actually fight
and
them.
belittle them, make them feel bad about themselves.
You're taking damage to your morale.
By the way, I could see Ironwood helping her. I don't want her going to Atlas Academy. I don't think they're setting that up. I think they're
I
setting
don't
her to
think
get the hell out of
go
there.
to the academy, but I feel
Okay.
like Ironwood will help her run away.
Yeah, that's possible. I can see her going to him, and then he gets her a ship out of there.
Yeah, and
Like,
I
kind
can
of
imagine him
begrudgingly
being like,
respecting her
I can imagine
decision.
him being like, I did.
Like, I could see him grudgingly respecting her decision, because he does respect, like, honor and bravery and things like that. So I could see her sympathizing with her despite not necessarily wanting her to do that, and he would help her in that way.
Well, like, Ironwood probably doesn't know about all the backhanded stuff that Jacques did to Weiss
No,
this episode.
I don't think so.
Literally,
So she could be,
backhanded.
yeah.
Actually, was that backhand? I think he actually hit her with open hand.
it was open hand, but
Yeah.
it was almost literally.
Yeah,
It was a slap, but like,
yeah,
it was a damn hurtful slap.
yep.
But as far as like, she goes to Ironwood and explains her situation, then Ironwood like empathizes with her or something, and that's what
Ironwood's just like, you better get on this plane at this time. But yeah, and then now that kind of rolls in. Okay, so let's talk about Oscar for a bit. So
do we have to?
I mean, I think honestly, the only thing we would talk about is how is he going to leave?
Yeah, I don't
There's
know.
nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else to talk about, honestly.
okay, well then let's. Okay, so
Wait, what was
here's
that?
here's something that's been that I've thought up recently, and I've shared this with a few people. So, in my mind, so imagine the human form. So Aura offers the best protection around the torso and the head, while on the arms and legs it does not offer as much protection and on those appendages. So, for example, if your aura has been weakened overall, your arms and legs are more susceptible to damage than your torso is. So this kind of, especially with Tyrion losing his tail, or well, a chunk of it at least, Yang losing her arm, which that whole thing was explained to it to where the attack was so powerful and stuff that it just overloaded it. But maybe if Adam was looking to like just bisect her in half, then it might not have been as easy to do if he was trying to cut through her torso because there's more aura on the torso. Not saying it wouldn't be impossible, but yeah. So that's the thought process I've been floating around recently too. Also, is that
it could just be like a central thing, like maybe aura, since it's technically comes from the soul. Maybe it like generates from the heart, and so the further away from the heart, the less potent the aura around it's going to be.
Yeah, that's another thing the Weiss said too. It's like it's going to offer better protection around the chest and the head, and then whenever it goes further away from the torso or the heart, you're not getting as much protection. So yeah. But yeah, other than that, I mean, like, there's nothing really too crazy.
Yeah,
like, there's
we just have no idea where they're going with the whole Oscar thing.
Yeah, we just gotta wait for that. We just gotta wait for those cards to fall on the table right now.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's not much to talk about with that. We just have to see what happens.
I mean, if anyone else wants to bring up anything else, I think we can kind of roll into the predictions for episode 8. Or
Yeah,
what we
I would. Yep.
CJ, you good?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll take that as you're good. All right. Okay, so we're gonna go from the top of the roll all the way down to the bottom. Okay, CJ, what's your updated overarching character plot? And okay, let's keep it simple. Prediction for episode 8, and then what's your updated character arc for Team Ranger and Weiss?
Okay, well, excuse me if my internet goes down, just let me know. Alright. So, basically...
Episode 8.
To do with... Yeah, episode 8. We're gonna get like obviously Crow talking about fairy tale. I feel like the fairy tales he might mention are Salem and something to do with the baddies. He's only going to mention the maidens if he brings up Pyrrha, and he might talk about Silver Eyes, but that I'm still not too sure about because RWBY, unless he goes into like detail about how RWBY can use the powers, I don't think.
And your internet's
Might
dying
not
again.
get some Weiss. All right, what was the last thing I said? All right, I'm just gonna.
Something about Silver Eyes.
Yeah, I feel like he won't talk about Silver Eyes unless he talks about how RWBY can use her Silver Eye powers to do better. I feel like we're going to get maybe not some Weiss, because we've already had quite a bit of Weiss, but it's possible we are going to get a bit of maybe like one scene of Weiss and like how she's going to move on with her stuff. I feel like we might get some Yang. We might either have a thing that's like Yang's done training and like she's done training for a bit. She's got a new weapon. I don't think we might get a reveal of the weapon. I don't think they're going to do a Velvet thing again.
I think we might get an upgrade of Yang's weapon.
Yeah, we're going to get an upgrade from the old weapon because now she's got a robot arm, so she's got to have something at least different, like not the same
Even
thing.
more shotguns.
Yes. And we might not get some Blake next episode, but it's also possible that because there's been some time since the last Blake episode, they're going to do what I straight up predicted with the concert thing, and they're going to do a bit more time has gone past, and Adam is now at Menagerie, ready to mess up Blake. Something like that could happen, because we haven't had Blake since episode 5, I think. As for the like overarching character plot, Blake, I feel like the season will end with fighting.
The season will
Someone in
end
her
with
family
what?
might die.
The season will end with
The
what?
season will end with Blake fighting Adam and then leaving with Sun and one of her parents, because I feel like the other one might die, and I am not sure so far. I feel like for Weiss, what we're going to get is by the end of the season, she's left and met up with someone. I feel like Blake could also go to Patch and meet up with Yang, because RWBY and
Yeah,
and
because,
I feel like
because RWBY
Blake,
and what?
because RWBY and Yang are very vocal, would have talked about her home, their home, and Blake will know that it's most likely a safe place.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's what I'm thinking for Weiss too, because they probably all know about it.
Yeah, Weiss and Blake will probably go to Patch, and then Yang, Weiss, and Blake will head out to find RWBY. I feel like Yang, obviously, she's going to do a bit more training until that moment.
Oh my god, I just thought of something. RWBY
Gonna set up
is
to
the
fight
Frodo.
Wait, hold a second, media. You're gonna have to hold on.
Yeah.
You don't have the talking stick just yet.
Well, this
Write
is
it down and
just,
save it.
Yeah, this is just
Yeah.
a comment on what CJ
Alright.
said. But if that's the scenario, then Yang, Blake, and Weiss are like the Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas of the group.
Okay. And I feel like Yang or someone that she's with is going to figure out that Jean, Ren, and Nora have gone missing as well, and they're going to figure out RWBY's probably done. She's probably gone with them just to make sure she's okay. And I don't know if they're going to notice that Crow's gone with her, because Crow's often away doing huntsman-y stuff. But maybe Raven will come to Yang at some point before the end of this season, and we'll get a bit of that, and maybe Raven will be like, oh yeah, Crow's with RWBY, she's safe, because Raven, she might still have some decency in her. I want to believe that. Alright, as for the villains, I believe Salem is, because it can't just be get the maidens, and it won't just be world domination. I don't think it's going to be anything that simple. So it might be like Grimm taking over the world, or something. I'm not sure. Cinder, I still feel like she's sort of betraying-ish Salem. Not like betraying on purpose, but maybe betraying without even realizing. Like she thinks she killed Ozpin, so said she.
You keep cutting out, dude. You're gonna have to wrap this up. You're cutting out all the time.
You're just
gonna keep cutting out.
Emerald and Mercury might become good. Yadi, I don't know about the rest of the villains, and RWBY is gonna end up in Mistral by the end of the season. There.
All right. Well, just for reference, for the dude, episode 8 predictions, and then updated Weiss character arc.
All right, episode 8 predictions. I'm going to guess it's either 8 or 9. We're going to get Crow talking about, doing the fairy tale thing, and maybe not. Maybe a little bit mentioning the maidens. Definitely mentioning. I think he's got to talk about Ozpin at this point and Salem, because he mentioned Salem, so that precedent is set. Clearly, they're sort of like a duality or like a binary opposing force between the two. So he's not going to really mention one without the other. So they will be talked about. And then the Silver-Eyed Warriors, I think more, because I think he needs to put it into context for all of them that are there. And then they'll sort of realize the gravity of their situation. And I think it's going to be pretty daunting for them, but that'll be interesting to see, how discouraged they will be by the end of that, or not. And I could almost see Jean being the voice that encourages them. And then I'm not sure how much Crow is going to talk about himself. I sort of feel like he might have to by the end of the volume, or maybe next volume or something like that, because he's such a mystery, and why he was there, what he's doing to help them. I don't know if that leads into the Bandit Clan becoming a major issue in this volume. They could just not be a big deal until next volume. Because it's tough to predict right now what the major conflict would be at the end of this season. Although they might not have a big major conflict at the end of the season. I could actually see that happening. I could see that not being a big thing until the next season. They could still just be building stuff up. And I'd personally be okay with that. I know a lot of the fan base would be all upset about, there was not a big cliffhanger at the end of this season too, or some shit like that. But I could still see it be more part of the journey, really, at the end of this volume. Because you still have to... I could see all of the members of Team RWBY heading back more toward each other by the end. I could see, Blake. I hope she doesn't stay on the island much longer. I hope she gets the hell out of there. I hope they head back to Patch or Vale. I hope Weiss, when she gets Weiss gets out and she heads toward, probably, I'm guessing she's going to head toward Vale. I mean, that's what I think for Weiss. Like I said before, I don't see her having much of a fight with her dad, especially with the fact that it's confirmed that he's not a Shni genetically, so he does not have their awesome semblance or their summoning power, anything like that. My guess is she could probably kick the shit out of him, and my guess actually is he is underestimating her at this point. I don't think he realizes how strong she's gotten. I don't think he realizes, because he doesn't really try to control Winter because he can't. She could probably beat the shit out of him too. So I think it's just more of just how she gets out of there. Maybe Ironwood helps her to get, because it's more of how she gets away from Atlas, not necessarily how she gets out of her home. I don't want to see too much of a training montage. I just wanted to, because now they're sort of speeding things up with her. She confronted her father already. She doesn't want to be there anymore. Let's get her the fuck out of there. Let's get her toward wherever she needs to go next. My guess is she would head to Patch probably, or Vale, end up with, Glinda and the teachers, or she's going to end up with meeting Yang first. My guess is by the end of the series, at least 2 members of Team RWBY will meet up with each other. We'll see each other by the end. We could even have Blake seeing Yang by the end. I don't know. Not just for Bumblebee purposes. We're not going to get any more Renora development. I think that High Power was completely right about that. They're saving that for next season or the season after or something like that.
Might get a tiny bit.
Tiny bit, but I'm guessing not, to be honest. I think that won't be till the end.
Definitely not loads. So
yeah, I don't think we're going to get much of that. I'm okay with that. Like I said, if the payoff is good when it does happen, I'll be perfectly okay with that. I'd rather them give it the attention it deserves, because there's so much else going on right now that they're not going to focus on that. We have too much else to deal with. I don't want a shitty little Renora development. I want a fuckload of it in an episode or 2. So yeah, that's basically it. Tyrion, I don't think he's going to get punished. I think he's going to get a Cyber Tail, because again, precedent is totally set that you get that you can get modifications to your body. And I think that means that Salem is going to have to realize that she needs to devote more energy toward RWBY and Ranger and Crow instead of maybe looking for the Maiden or something like that. So that might be a catalyst toward a bigger conflict. I don't know if that's really going to happen by the end of the series. I think I don't see them fighting Salem by the end of the volume at this point. I see, or even her forces. Actually, I would see them maybe confronting the Bandit Clan or just getting to Haven. That's what I could possibly see. I don't think all of Team RWBY is going to end up together by the end of this volume either. I think it might just be a couple of them. And like I said, I'd hope that Blake and her family and son don't stay in Menagerie much longer. I hope they just start heading back. So that's about it. But very good episode. Very happy with this volume so far overall. Definitely the best volume so far without question. And also, I think it's really funny that on Facebook right now, I'm scrolling through it and everybody is just really angry at Jacques and Whitley. And I think those people are stupid. Why do you complain about the characters that you're supposed to hate? It's developing Weiss's characters, so that's good. That's exactly how I predicted. People are focusing, of course, on the wrong things instead of on moving the plot forward. They're just talking about what characters they don't like because people are stupid.
Some of those people are probably listening to this.
Good.
And good! Yeah, you're dumb. Stop being dumb. Focus on the things that actually matter. You're supposed to not like those characters. Stop complaining about them.
Alright. I guess now it's my turn. Or unless, Mita, you want to go first. I don't mind.
Yeah, I'll go. So I think Crow is going to talk about the Silver-Eyed Warriors. One thing, though, as far as, like, his wound or the poison goes, I kind of hope it just paralyzes him. And
that'd be the guess. I see him as a burden for them for a while.
Yeah, because my big fear about Crow actually, like, interfering with Team Ranger is that he'd end up taking over the team, and it would just take away from, like, how Ren's been kind of owning this season, and how Jean is supposed to be coming into his own, and how RWBY is supposed to be realizing just how terrible of a leader she is. And but yeah, you don't get any of that development if Crow just takes over. So
that's kind of why I feel like he hasn't been in the entire time.
And this is a best case scenario, I think, because it's better. It's certainly better than finding some bullcrap reason for him to just screw off somewhere and just leave again. Especially after like Tyrion, like
I think you're right.
Once.
They could get the explanation they need from him and leave him at an inn or something like that because he can't really continue with them or something like that.
But I think the next episode will start off with, I'm gonna say Yang, because we haven't seen Yang since episode 4.
Yeah, that's true.
We've seen everybody else since then. So it's gonna start off with Yang. She's training with Tai. She's gonna ask a question. I don't know what. I don't know how. But it's going to tie into what Crow
dual flashback.
It's going to tie into that dual flashback I really want. Even though I doubt that Miles and Carrie are creative enough to really do that. But that's a right for another day. And it'll tie into that, and like it'll go to black. And then one thing about story time with Uncle Crow, they have to show it. They have to do that 2D animation stuff that they did in the first 3 volumes for flashbacks and stories. They have.
I want it to be like what they did with Yang talking to Blake about.
That's the biggest example, but that's neither the first nor the longest example. But like when they explained the maidens, they did that. When Crow did that freaking little anecdotal story about the tiny miniskirt girl, they did that, and they did that. They did that in the very first episode when Salem was explaining Dust, Grimm, and the Kingdoms. They also did that in the end of Volume 1 with Blake's backstory with the White Fang.
I feel like it would be okay if like they don't show the thing, as long as they're actually.
So long as they're not just so long as they're not just standing there talking.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think you're right about that. I agree with you.
Because
totally.
that makes for boring expositional scenes.
Fighting Grimm as well, or like taking Crow to a hospital or something while he's talking.
Yeah, see, I don't like. probably be a little more fine with that, but I'd still prefer I'd still prefer some kind of flashback or 2D animation bit. So there's that, and then so we're gonna get Yang and Ranger next episode, and then we're not gonna get Ranger for a while after that, because that'll be 3 episodes in a row for Team Ranger, which yeah, they're the A plot, they need the most screen time, but at the same time there are other things going on, and can't believe I'm saying this, but episode 9 we have to have Blake. We have to have Blake in episode 9.
Yes. I feel like we have to have Blake in episode 8. I feel like we have to have Blake
I think that's a little too soon. Like, we definitely need
every
Yang
episode,
more.
definitely we don't need Blake.
Yeah, we need Yang more.
With that.
We need Yang more than Blake right now for episode 8.
Definitely true.
So episode 8, it could be Yang and Blake. I'd rather it be Yang and Ranger just to keep this up and get it to a good stopping point to where it's not a cliffhanger that we have to wait weeks on. But yeah, like get Team Ranger to a good like break point before we spend an episode without them. Which is kind of what they did with episode 2. Like with them in episode 2, it was a pretty good stopping point for that storyline to go on all these divergent paths with Blake's story and Yang's story and the whole Bandit Clan situation with Raven and all that stuff. So episode 9, we have to have Blake and I would say Blake and Yang or Blake and Ranger, maybe Blake and Weiss. I would like just for an episode to have Blake and Weiss, just because that parallel
that'd be cool.
that parallel is not explored anywhere near enough in the show.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I would like that.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much one of the first rivalries was Blake and Weiss, like at the end of season 1.
Yeah, that was a source of actual drama in the series. For Team RWBY, it was probably the first.
I mean, there was also the Jaundice arc. Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty good rivalry.
For Team RWBY, not Jean. It was the whole Blake and Weiss thing was probably the first bit of drama we had for that team to have to move past and work out, and in some ways, it's the only bit of like emotional drama they've had to go through as a team.
No, there was the whole Yang bit in.
Yeah, I don't know.
From 3.
Well, that was after though. That was kind of done off screen. That was I guess you're right with the whole when she broke Mercury's leg.
Yeah, but like that was a massive team drama bit.
That got resolved in like 3 minutes.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah, it was swept under the rug.
Yeah, but the worst part of that scene, or best if you're somebody who likes tearing into RWBY, is that like Blake's like, so long as you apologize, I'm okay with it. Then Yang doesn't apologize, and Blake's still fine with it anyway.
Yeah, I don't understand that bit. Like that's like the worst scene for Blake in my opinion, because she's just like, I'll forgive you if you say you didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to do it. Oh wow, okay.
If you say you regret what you had to do, like he attacked me, I fought back. That's it. All right.
I mean, I like Yang's answer to that.
Yeah, I did too, but
it's very in Yang's character.
Yeah, that was just way too fast. But yeah, getting back on track with this. That bit was just done way too fast.
Shoot, it was an AK-47.
Then episode 10 we then maybe pick up with Team Ranger in episode 10, and that'll be like when we start wrapping up this volume.
We're definitely gonna have Ranger for the next 2 episodes. I feel like episode 8 and 9 at least.
I feel like we got a big
they could be sprinkled
fight
in like Oscar.
I feel like the volume finale, the big final fight in the finale, is going to be against Grimm. Like maybe
like they have to fend off
Grimm,
they have to fend off a town from just a massive Grimm attack.
Breach Part 2. Can't wait for this Breach Part 2.
Oh no! Whenever you put it like that.
No, please don't put it like that.
Yeah.
Breach Part 2.
What Breach should have been.
The only cool thing about Breach was Team Coffee's theme song.
Yeah,
and even that was just kind of corny or ridiculous.
The worst part about Breach, I mean, has got to be Son of Neptune just come in and they're like, "Yo,
yeah," and don't do good goddamn shit.
And
yeah.
Then the
what?
Yeah. Maybe Ranger like
Junior
gets
detectives.
Maybe Ranger gets into trouble, and then just out of nowhere, Scarlet Sage and Neptune just show up. They're like, "Oh, Oh, you
No,
guys are
Neptune
here too.
himself shows up with his detective badge. What's going on here?
And then still doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like they all show up like, yeah, we got a call a few hours ago about a Grim attack here. We didn't know you were here, and then they just don't do anything. But yeah, that's how I still think that Volume 4 is going to end with Team Ranger arriving in Mistral City, Mistral proper. I don't know if where Blake is heading. Maybe she's heading to Patch. Maybe she's heading just to Vale to check things out there. Maybe she's heading to Mistral for whatever reason. Maybe she's even heading to Vacuo because we haven't seen Vacuo yet. And then when Weiss runs, she's going to run back to Vale.
Yeah, that's my guess too.
But yeah, I kind of want to... I really want to see... I at least just want a name for Weiss's mom. And I also want her... Yeah, now that we know that she's a true Schnee and would have that semblance, I kind of want her to have, like, a poker game with all her summonings. Like, all the people that she's killed or something. And just, like...
She's
like, she's her own drinking buddy. Because that would create a really awesome parallel to, like, the whole loneliness aspect of Weiss that also isn't adequately explored as much as I
want Mama
to.
Schnee to summon up just, like, loads of booze and just drink it all.
Ghost booze.
Like Alright.
Hey, it's the booze
I think
from
it's my turn.
Mark.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, I'm going to be a little bit less dramatic with mine. So, for episode 8, we're going to get Yang. I feel we might actually even get Oscar again next episode, too.
We could, yep. He's going to be in there somewhere, 8 or 9, I think.
So, we'll get Yang, we'll get Oscar, and we'll get a little bit of Team Ranger and Crow, but the focus is going to be on Yang. Don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to happen. For Weiss's character arc, she's probably going to do her own little training montage. It's a safe assumption that whenever we see Yang again, there's probably been, like, what? A week of them, a week or two, or maybe a month has passed. So there's definitely, like, a miniature time skip, because it's kind of hard to keep track of, like, how much, like, actual time is going past everyone, though. But yeah. I'm just trying to figure out in my head where the stopping point is going to be for Team Ranger, which I feel we're getting closer. We're getting a better idea what that's going to be.
We still don't even really know it. Like, that's the thing. You've just got to assume that it's getting to Mistral.
Yeah, which I think even the first podcast that we did, I said it's like I doubt they're going to. I was highly doubting that they were going to make it to Mistral. Which now they could be like, okay, now we really got to get to Mistral so we could fix Crow or something.
Crow uses his semblance, becomes a massive crow, and they all just ride on his back. That'd be cool.
But yeah, that's basically it. I didn't really have anything too much crazy to say, but I do like where the show's going so far.
Yeah, everything's doing pretty well so far. Nothing's hatched.
Yeah.
Other than your internet dying, everything's going pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, like I said, I think they're still building towards some of the crazier revelations or whatever, but that's fine. I'm pretty happy with what they have done. I like where they're going with Weiss a lot, so that's at least entertaining while that happens.
To be honest, I'd be fine if we didn't get any more Blake episodes for the rest of the show, just so that I don't have to defend her, because she's going to do something wrong, or people are going to say, oh, Blake did something wrong, and then I'm going to have to say, no.
I hope she didn't. I hope she doesn't do anything wrong. I hope she does. I hope she ends up as. I hope they fix her as well as they've been.
Point that out right now. Never done anything wrong.
That's not true.
Blake's always right.
That's not true.
Blake's always right.
No,
she's definitely done some things wrong.
Yeah, and that's fine. Anyway, so there's not much more to talk about, right? I think we're pretty happy with this episode overall.
It was a good episode.
Definitely looking forward to the next several. I think. Still, I think. There's not much to. I don't really think I have anything I'm worried about anymore. Even because I was like a couple of things I was worried about that they would do for Weiss, but they've handled her well, and I hope that as long as they handle Blake well, then I'm pretty excited for the direction they're going in. Like I said, my poor Renora heart is sad, but everything else is so good. I'm totally fine with everything for the most part. So that'd be pretty cool. I'm happy. Good episode. Hopefully we get another one next week and not a World of Remnant.
No, we're gonna get a World of Remnant. It's guaranteed.
But we just got one. Yeah, I don't think we're getting a World of Remnant until after episode 9.
Yeah. I mean, remember keep in mind they're premiering the volume, the finale at was it like at the RT thing Australia?
Yeah, that's like February 4th or something.
It's the beginning of February, which means there's no way they're going to premiere that if the people haven't seen the episode before that. So my guess is we're going to have episode 11 done by the end of January, probably. Yeah. So I don't think we're getting. I think we'll only get one more World of Remnant, and then it's just a straight shot. So I think we're going to get most of the episodes now. And so that's what they're probably going to do is they'll probably give them that episode the week the rest of us get maybe a break or something like that, and then we'll get it. But still, if we've
got to have episode 11 before
by the end of January, before February 4th, which is good. Which means the next week at the latest,
we've got 8, 9, 10, and 11. 12. That's 4 episodes. We've got 4 weeks. We need an episode. So during January, we can have about 1 break.
Yeah, that's it. So I think that's good. I think that's a good sign. Hopefully, we don't get too many more World of Remnants. Even though the last one was.
I take the World of Remnant for New Year's.
Yeah, I'm predicting just one more.
We're going to get the World Remnant for New Year's. I'll bet money on that.
That's fine. And as long as we only get one more, I don't really care when the fuck they put
I'll be happy to win some more money out. No, I'm not actually going to bet when we'll get a new World of Remnant.
Yeah.
If we were, I would say after episode 9.
I'd say after episode 8.
I would guess after 8. I would guess after 8 or 9, but
I feel like after 8, because we're going to get the fairy tale told by Crow, and then we might get what they did with the maidens, and we'll get a World of Remnant on the fairy tale.
The exact same thing. Oh my god! Just one more thing to complain about when I do my next World of Remnant review at the end of the volume.
No, your next World of Remnant review is just you crying, just like why?
Yeah, the first part will be because I have to talk about the freaking Beyond the Kingdoms bullshit.
Oh, that's right. That was terrible. All right, but anyways, episode's good. The shortest podcast yet, I think, because there wasn't really much to complain about. So
it was too good an episode.
Yeah.
No, I could
said,
complain about some things, but
they're all minor.
Definitely a good episode.
Yep. All right, cool.
Yep.
The broken beam during the fight, and Tyrion didn't.
Shameless plugging. Shameless plugging time.
Yeah, I'll do my shameless plugging.
My least favorite part.
Yeah, if you like this podcast and you like hearing me talk, hit that subscribe button. I do reviews of the RWBY episodes as well as the occasional movie review when I actually get around to seeing a movie.
Moana's amazing.
Yes, Rogue One.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's awesome. I have a review of it on my channel.
I'm seeing that today. I'm seeing that today.
Sweet. Last 30 minutes are worth the price of admission alone. I also have a fanfiction that I've already kind of shamelessly plugged. It's RWBY on fanfiction.net. The first major part of RWBY is coming to a close. After this year.
I need to watch RWBY. I never actually started it.
Yeah, read it. Because this next year. January 1st is the first chapter of RWBY Generations, which has a really big time gap from where I last left off with the heroes, and there's that. I also have my own little completely original fiction series coming out 2017 called Guardians of Terra. I'll probably plug that for the next podcast, and actually have links and stuff for everyone, because because the first chapter will be up by then. But yeah, that's Mediocrity 4, and that's all I have, I think.
Yep, that's about it. I haven't updated my fanfiction in a while, so I'm not going to plug myself right now. I'll plug myself next time once I actually get around to doing shit.
I need to finish out chapter 4 on mine, but outside of that, yeah, it was a blast. I enjoyed this episode. Good stuff.
Yep. All right, see you guys next time.
It was definitely a good episode. I haven't got anything to plug, RIP. But yeah, it was good.
Yep, good night everyone, and have a happy new year.